Hey my friends, it's been a long time since I've done a video. Uh, just got a text message from my good friend Melissa the other day, who's been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for a long time. And apparently so has her brother Jimmy and their good friend Vinny. And they've made a pact to make a video. Well, actually, I don't know all the details of the pact yet, but it's something along the lines of making a video once a week, which has been a goal of mine for a long time, but as you know, I've dropped the ball on that a little bit. So I think I'm going to take on the challenge, and today's video is a bit impromptu. I'm in Detroit for a few days, taking care of some things on my house, and I have a little situation on my hands, which if self-driving cars existed today, would not happen. So let me tell you the story. And this is the story of the pursuit of a good breakfast. Anybody that knows me well knows I like my breakfasts. And, you know, in England we have our full English breakfast. It's not always so easy in America to get a good breakfast. I was going to go to a little diner I know. In a part of Detroit they call Downriver. It's actually the town or city of Wyandotte. But it was a bit nondescript, and this morning I was in the mood for getting something, maybe a place with a view, or getting some real authentic experimental food, or whatever you want to call it. So I found out about a place called Izzy Eggy's that makes what looks like the most spectacular breakfast sandwiches. And I'm of the attitude, generally speaking, that a breakfast sandwich is a bit of a compromised breakfast. I associate them with McDonald's and gas stations and places like that. Don't get me wrong, I'll eat them once in a while, but it's not, it just feels like a compromise. But I went on Yelp, and Izzy Eggy's looks like a real winner. They look delicious, so I'm going to go check it out. So I drove from my house. I have the Tesla here, and it's about a 12-mile drive, which is a little bit far, but it's Izzy Eggy's is right in downtown Detroit. It's literally a hole in the wall. They serve out of a window. There's no indoor seating. You just take your food and go. So I get there. There's heavy traffic. There's people everywhere. And I realized my plan was to just find some street side parking, which sometimes is free, sometimes you pay, but that was fine. But there was no street side parking. There was traffic like mad. And by the way, it's Sunday morning at like 10 o'clock. Well, apparently the Detroit baseball team, the Tigers, I don't know much about sports, so I hope I'm not getting this all mixed up. There's a sporting event, and parking's at a premium. All the street side parking was taken. The parking lots have jacked up rates for the event, like $40, $60, and there's no way I'm paying $40 or $60 so that I can go eat my breakfast sandwich. Where does self-driving cars come into this, you ask yourself? Well, generally speaking, out in the ether, not maybe with people that are deep in the EV world like me, but if you're just a regular person, you're not really a big EV person, and you hear about self-driving cars, it's very easy to think, this is just a gimmick. I don't need that. I don't trust it. I know how to drive my car myself, so on, so on, so on. Well, this is an instance where I want you to imagine how awesome it would be if self-driving cars existed today. So the way it would go, if my car was a robo-taxi today, is I would drive to Izzy Eggy's. I would hit a button on the dashboard that says robo-taxi, and I would get out. And my car would go spend the next 30 minutes or whatever, 45 minutes, essentially being an Uber while I wait in line at Izzy Eggy's to order my sandwich. And I enjoy my sandwich, maybe take a walk down by the river or whatever. And then I go on my phone and I call my car back. And maybe I have to wait 5-10 minutes because it's in the middle of giving somebody a ride. But it drops them off, comes and picks me up, and I go home. So let's say in that 30 to 45 minutes, my car made $10. And my sandwich at Izzy Eggy's was $8. I give them a couple of dollars tip. That's $10. My car just gave me free breakfast. But it doesn't exist yet, so this is how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to go yet because I'm currently in 15-minute parking, and I need to find somewhere that I can park for longer than 15 minutes because there was a big line outside of Izzy Eggy's. Apparently they're good because there's a line of people waiting for them. So this is how it goes, and none of this would have happened if self-driving cars existed today. Well, I got lucky. I went back to my car, and another car pulled up next to me, and he asked me, could I pull forwards a little bit? And I said, well, actually, I'm just leaving. So I was about to leave, and then I saw them parking, and it occurred to me, everybody's looking for parking here. And I noticed a couple of other cars parked in the 15-minute spot. So I went back to the guy. He looked like a local. And I said, hey, do you think there's a problem doing the do you think they're going to enforce the 15 minutes because it's a Sunday? He's like, no. He says, I went to high school here. You'll be fine. So I ended up going back there and parking there. And he offered me a drink, which was kind of cool. Didn't get a drink. So I guess I don't have to pay for parking. That's nice. But going back to the whole full self-driving thing, it may, in this case, not have cost me money, but it cost me time. Because I spent definitely 20 to 30 minutes looking for a parking spot, and now I'm parked 17 minutes away, and that's a 17-minute walk, and it's 17 minutes back. So that's 34 minutes plus 20 to 30 minutes. It's literally over an hour because of the parking thing. Had I had a self-driving car, I would have pulled up outside the place, gotten out, hit the robotaxi button, the car goes off, and I would have saved myself an hour, and my car would have paid for my breakfast. Now, I don't care how much you love to drive, tell me that would not be cool. There's a whole slew of other, arguably more significant reasons that self-driving cars, or self-driving vehicles in general, are a really important part of the future. And I'll get into those in another video. But today, it's all about the breakfast sandwich. So let's go find this thing, see what it's all about. While we're here, Volvo plugged in. That's pretty cool, right downtown. Ford, it's not an electric car, not plugged in. This is called icing, internal combustion engines. Porsche, not electric, not plugged in. Another Ford, not electric, not plugged in. People not cool.
Short call. You say your phone down.
One of the things I have the hardest time filming is to film in public where other people can see you filming. One correction, it's Iggy's, not Izzy's. Put in my order, should be 30 minutes or so. So I'm going to give you a quick show around the area. Okay. I've got my Iggy's. My batteries are almost dead. I just did a quick Google search. I fear I may have called them the Detroit Tigers earlier. It is baseball. They're not Tigers, they're Lions. Clearly, I'm not a sporting person. They're playing the Seahawks today. It's October 2nd. I don't know where October 1st went. I missed it. I think the Seahawks are from Seattle, so good luck. Uh, I'm gonna try this sandwich real quick before my battery dies. Let's see. By the way, it's a little chilly, and I was worried that everything was gonna go cold before I get to the car because all the streets are complicated here, and I needed the phone for my GPS to find my way back to the car. So I was planning on filming in downtown, but here we go. Oh, look at that. Now that, my friends, look at that. That is breakfast sandwich. That is phenomenal. If you're in Detroit, be sure to check out Iggy's Eggy. Avoid it on game days or order ahead. That's my advice. Maybe this changed your view on the concept of self-driving vehicles a little bit. There's so many things that could do to make our lives better. Today it could have given me a free breakfast, but it doesn't exist yet. So here's to self-driving vehicles in the future and great breakfasts. That was hands down the best breakfast sandwich I've ever had in my life. It was absolutely delicious. Had a couple of hash browns with it too. They were a bit greasy, but in a good way. Definite recommend Iggy's. I'll put a link in the description below. Made it back to the car and no parking ticket. Beautiful. So we talked about what full self-driving and robo-taxi can do in the future. Seeing as I'm in downtown heading to Lincoln Park where my house is, I thought I might as well film a little bit of what full self-driving technology can do today. I have the beta version of the software. I have Jade here with me. I'm gonna do the first section of the video in actual video mode as we go through downtown, so you can see what it can and cannot do. It will fail, just letting you know. Everyone that has autopilot or full self-driving or any autonomous system on the road at the moment still has to pay full attention. They're the responsible driver. They should be able to take over at any moment, which you will see I will probably do. But sometimes it surprises. So I'm going to do the first part of the video in actual footage, and then the second part of the video where it's a bit more generic on the highway, I'll do it in time lapse. Here we go. Full self-driving from downtown Detroit to close to downtown Lincoln Park, Michigan on Sunday morning, October 2nd. Let's see how this goes. So I just plug in the address 152. In the interest of making the audio decent on this video, I'm gonna keep the windows up and I'll have music off and no air conditioning. And even though it's a chilly day with the glass roof and everything, it's a little hot. So all I do to put it in full self-driving, I plugged in the address. I'm gonna get enough on the road until this little gray steering wheel will pop up here, which means the car is ready to drive itself. And then after that, I let it drive itself and just be willing to take over at any time. So I tapped twice there and it made that little chirping sound. That meant it wasn't ready yet. But now you'll see it has the gray steering wheel, which means it's ready. So I tapped twice and now the car is driving itself. I have the default set a little aggressive. So it says 29 miles an hour and at 25, I'm gonna wheel that down to 25. But the wheel turning itself, the turn signal, stopping at this stop sign, waiting for these cars, all of that, the car is doing it by itself. So there's a whole stream of cars here, and the car is doing it by itself. This black Jeep is going to pass, then it's clear, should go. Well, another car kind of jumped in, so there's one more. Let's see how long it takes. It'll be patient, and it'll wait for its turn. Now, something that might trip it up, we'll see. So now it's clear after this black one. It hesitated a little bit, but it made the turn. You'll see here it's flashing blue. That means it wants me to hold the wheel. I'm not turning the wheel, I'm just putting enough pressure on the wheel that it knows I'm there. Because, like I say, the full self-driving cars, you're still legally the driver. Sometimes I'll go quiet because I'm managing what's going on around me, what the car is doing, and what the navigation is. So it's hesitating here, but it's doing it. I'm trying to let it. I'm trying not to. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying not to interrupt it, because the more that you let full self-driving do its thing, the more it's learning. Now, they do want you to intervene if it's going to do something dangerous. In my experience, more often than not, the reason that you intervene is not because it's necessarily doing something dangerous, but because it's doing something that, I guess you could say, sub-level dangerous, in the sense that maybe it's going to give you a false positive and overreact, and the car behind you is not expecting it. So I'm more inclined not to trust the car behind me than I am not to trust my own car on FSD. South Florida, where I live, the drivers are a little crazy, and they're not that different in Detroit. People here tend to be a lot more civil. Actually, they are a lot more civil on the city streets, but as soon as you get on the expressway, they get a little aggressive. Um, I'm just going to let a brief gush of fresh air in here because it's gotten toasty really quick. You get to hear the sounds of Detroit too. You'll see here the red lights. I'm not sure if you can see it from the camera, but I can see them out of the windshield too. And when they turn green in the real world, they'll turn green on here. The car will check that it's clear, and then it goes. The biggest mistake it makes usually is hesitating. In this case, it didn't turn green, and it's going. Put the turn signal to change lanes. Got a red light. It stopped. Even for a human driver, these lanes are pretty sketchy. Now, another thing that it's doing, which technically is following the law by the book, because the ramp speed is 25 miles an hour. But everybody knows nobody drives 25 miles an hour on the ramp. So now it's adjusted the speed limit to 55. It's got it set at 63, and we're getting on the highway. In my opinion, that was not a very smooth turn. It should have put the turn signal before it got onto the lane, and it jumped 2 lanes at once, which in my book is not a good practice. Also, I don't know if you saw it in the video just while I was talking there. There was a bit of phantom braking where the car all of a sudden braked. We call that a false positive, where it's braking as a precaution, but in reality, there was no reason for it to brake. Now we're on the expressway, which is a little bit more generic of a part of the trip. So what I'm going to do is, once we get past this area, you'll see here, it's taking the turn with no hands on the wheel. I mean, I am grabbing it just because of liability reasons, but I'm not turning the wheel. The wheel is turning itself. The car is regulating its speed by itself. It's staying in the lane by itself. By the way, on this junction, you have to be careful you don't make the wrong turn or you'll end up in Canada. And apparently, there's no U-turn. You should be able to see right across there that suspension bridge. That's the Ambassador Bridge. The bridge that goes this way is the Ambassador Bridge, which crosses to Canada. And the bridge you see this way is a pedestrian bridge. We're actually in Mexican town, ironically. They should have a Canadian town on the southern border just for fun. I have my doubts if Mexican town's the best place in Detroit to get Mexican food, to be honest. Now the car wants to change lanes by itself. It puts the turn signal, it tells you it's going to change lanes, and if you're not holding the wheel, it'll make that chime, which you heard it do. It also vibrates the steering wheel, so it gives you multiple feedback. Now I'm going to cancel this change of lane because it was sloppy. Let's increase the speed a bit because everyone's getting frustrated. In fact, I'm going to get off at this area to do the time lapse because now it's mostly expressway. So I've taken it out of full self-driving now. All you have to do that is either tap on the brake or brake the steering where you forcibly brake it out of steering. Obviously, tapping on the brake is a little bit less impactful. I kind of wish they had a cancel button. You can cancel the navigation, but as far as I know, there's no cancel FSD or autopilot button, and I think it would be nice if there was, because there's certain situations where you don't want to tap on the brake. For example, let's say the reason you're getting out of full self-driving is because the person behind you is following too close. and the car in front of you is close, and your only way to get out of full self-driving is to kind of steer out of course, which could be dangerous if you've got cars on that side of the road, or to tap on the brake, which could also be dangerous because the guy behind you is tailgating you, and you don't want them to hit you. So I wish Tesla had a cancel button right there. It's easy to get to. That would be nice. You'll see there's a lot of construction here. They're actually building a new bridge to Canada. I'm going to get off at this exit. The nice thing about filming time-lapse as a YouTuber in a car, doing the type of filming I'm doing, is that you can just overlay sound instead of the background noise. That way I can open the windows and enjoy the fresh air because it's stuffy in here.